can't handle the truth.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, no. Immorality, general.
Down the centuries, you have blurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, everybody. 48 after the hour, and today I want to share more of the unraveling of Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis, who is wilting in the face of sunshine and transparency, resisting open records requests concerning the possible taxpayer funding of anti-marijuana campaigns in 2012 and 2014. Now, another person who's been following up on this is my friend Jennifer Alexander, although we've been doing this independently, and I should point that out. I also should point out that Jennifer Alexander is one of the few human beings I will admit is more tenaciously dogged than me when she gets her mind set on something. Also writes longer emails than I do, if you think that's possible. She writes much longer emails than me. And one very important thing about Jennifer is she is a stickler for honesty and truth, to the point where, like, she wouldn't jaywalk if you wanted to get her to jaywalk. I mean, she's one of those kind of people that wants to make sure everything's by the book. So she's been emailing back and forth with Josh Marquis. I stopped because he told me not to contact him anymore. But she's been emailing back and forth with Josh Marquis and did so right after the Salem City Club debate where he faced off against Representative Earl Blumenauer. I want to share some of this with you. Obviously not all of it because, like I said, Jennifer writes books for emails. But here is the tone of Jennifer's first email back to Marquis. I share what I find with both sides indiscriminately. I also shared it with you and asked for clarification and more information. And that was before I shared it with Russ, for the record. I shared the same sort of information with every contact for the tour I spoke with as well. It is all public information, primarily found online, not some dark secret. We were actually both looking at this in 2012 simultaneously as well, so despite having fallen out of touch for more than a year, this uproar over the recent summit and tour got us back into contact about 2 weeks ago, after the Willamette Week did an article on the summit. If you're referring to the help us in that posting, I am not the us. The us is the marijuana community, i.e. his podcast audience and website readers. I'm still searching for information on any 2013 Marijuana Summit since it is dubbed an annual event, but so far I have had no luck there. No such event appears to exist. I believe it is wrong to use public resources and federal grant money to sway an election, and I'm very disturbed by organizers dubbing it simply an educational event while inviting Kevin Sabet to headline, the quarterback for opposing marijuana laws nationwide. I will say it seems more and more that you do not want this conversation with me or anyone on my side of the conversation, but publicly you're saying that the proponents don't want the conversation. I definitely want the conversation. I hope I'm being very clear about that. I spoke with a few people after the City Club debate, and I am very interested in hearing the opinions of those who oppose legalizing marijuana. So that's typical Jennifer, and there's a whole bunch more where she states some facts and gives her background and as a mom and etc. This is the response she got from Josh Marquis. Pretending to be researching when in fact you're trying to find a gotcha is not intellectually honest. There are plenty of valid reasons for legalization, but the idea that thousands of lives are ruined by arrests or citations is simply a lie. Your pal, Mr. Belleville, apparently thinks he's got me because I advocate on office time behind my desk in a county office. Yet he peppers me with demands for emails from my own staff with nothing other than his hunch that I'm breaking the law. If he really thinks that, I've urged him to file his complaint under ORS 260.432 with the investigating agency, the Secretary of State. I have. I am an elected DA who was asked by my colleagues to point out our specific objections to Measure 91. And now, folks, hold on to your hats for this one. Apparently, I am one of the few people of my age in public life willing to admit I ever smoked pot. Two prominent proponents, Congressman Blumenauer and Portland defense attorney Darian Stanford, both submitters of expensive voters' pamphlet arguments, claim they never smoked pot. Who do you think is really being honest? Don't bother answering the question. Wow, folks, did we just have the Clatsop County DA insinuate that Congressman Blumenauer is a liar? That he is lying about having never smoked marijuana? I'll question him about that if I get the chance. Marquis continues, quote, I believe in free speech, unlike Congressman Blumenauer, who's threatened a lot of good, decent drug counselors with the threat of loss of their jobs. All right. He also says, others want to make people like me batshit crazy just say no maniacs who actually believe reefer madness. Real life is a lot more nuanced. Now remember, this is the same guy who just the other day said, I smoked pot back in the 70s. I remember a lid. And when I smoked, this thing about smoking pot is it happens immediately. You're immediately zonked. Not like drinking wine where you just get a little warm after a little while. This is the same guy who's gone along with the same line from Kevin Sabet that the potency of marijuana is so much greater than the Woodstock weed of the past. Apparently, the Woodstock weed that got him so zonked on a single puff. That's that guy. This is the same guy who says anybody can get a medical marijuana card. Anybody can. You can just walk into a clinic and just get a medical marijuana card. This is the same guy who says it's not that hard to grow marijuana. Anybody can grow marijuana. They call it weed for a reason. Yeah, people want to make you batshit crazy, just say no maniacs who believe reefer madness. That's all their fault. Now, Jennifer responded, and to her credit, she keeps her cool as she responds. Am I not being clear? I don't have a problem with your involvement in the summit or tour, nor your opposition to the measure. I have a problem with the funding of the summit and tour, and the fact that the event is not representing itself as political advocacy when I believe it very clearly is. I have questions about D.A. LaRich doing fundraising for the tour from work, as that was implied in the Oregonian article about his raising funds to fill the gap after grant funders backed out. But it isn't completely clear what those circumstances were or if he was operating in any official capacity, so I don't know if he did anything wrong either. And then a whole bunch more about, hey, we're just trying to get the facts on this, pal. This is his response, quote, as the below paragraph of yours makes clear, you and Russ seem to not have read ORS 260.432. It forbids political advocacy by employees during working hours. Sorry, but even they have First Amendment rights on their own time. Elected officials are exempt, but cannot do things like make copies of advocacy brochures or the office copier or use their subordinates to advance a political cause. Josh, that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. I've got plenty of evidence from 2012 showing that the county offices were using their resources to promote the Madras Summit that its own agenda showed was very clearly anti-Measure 80. That's what we're looking for. He continues, I'm not sure what claims you and Radical Russ are making against Steve LaRich, but he too is an elected official, free to advocate. I intend to pursue public records requests of non-elected employees in the Oregon Health Authority about why they are so determined to shut down what's left of the forum, even though there is no government money being spent. Russ, and you, as far as I can tell, don't want there to be any education about any possible downsides to weed, which arise regardless of the legal status of marijuana, virtually already legalized in Oregon. But hey, there's millions to be made by getting new users, and I'm sure the cannabis cotton candy really isn't targeted at kids. I want information. The multi-million-dollar big marijuana machine wants silence, aided by government bureaucrats, one of whose last job was with George Soros, Measure 91's largest donor. I'm sure that's just another coincidence. Wow. Brought out the George Soros conspiracy theory engine on this one. Okay, look. Once again, pal, nobody wants silence. Hell, bring Kevin Sabet. Tour him across the state all month long. That's just more content for me. That's just more opportunities and more show for me. That's just more me going to every city that he goes to, handing out flyers that debunk every single talking point he's got. I want Kevin Sabet in town. I want there to be more marijuana educational events, because the more we're talking about this, the more we're winning. But as Jennifer points out, you have to play by the same rules I have to play by. I didn't get to go to the 2012 Madras Summit. You know why? Because I didn't have enough money. I don't get taxpayer grants. I don't get taxpayer-funded offices. I don't get taxpayer-funded email accounts and servers and websites and IT help and people answering the phones. I do all that work my damn self on the donations of the listeners out there who support my work. I couldn't go to the 2012 summit, but one of my listeners did. And he let me know that that summit was as political as could possibly be, with people openly exhorting folks to vote no on Measure 80. And I've got the flyers, and I've got the agendas of the meetings, and I've got the emails back and forth, and I'm going to get more records back and forth to show that that 2012 event was produced with public money, that Kevin Sabet did get an honorarium from public money, and that you tried to do the same thing again this year in 2014. The problem was you didn't have Paul Stanford to go up against this time. You had a real professional organization to go up against this time that could actually call bullshit on this. We are far from through with this one, Josh Marquis, and the more I read from you, the more I can tell that you don't get it. You want to continue to try to make this as if he literally calls me and Jennifer Alexander bullies. Bullies! We're bullies for asking for records from our government that our taxes pay for. We're bullies to expect transparency in our county offices. We're bullies to expect the district attorneys of 5 counties or possibly more to obey the freaking law. We're bullies? I'll tell you what bullying is. Bullying is when you get pulled out of your car on the freeway, set on the side of the road in handcuffs while cops go through all of your stuff because they suspect you have a tiny amount of weed on you. Bullying is riding in the back of a cop car in handcuffs and sitting in a cage for 8 hours. Bullying is having to come up with $5,000 on the spot to earn your freedom and not lose your job and your work and your events. That's bullying, Josh Marquis.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
That's all the time we got for Hour 1, but stay tuned. Hour 2 is next. Toker Talk Radio will take your calls at 971-533-7111. For everyone here at 420radio.org, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.